The room froze the second she stepped in. No applause, no announcement, just the heavy silence that follows real power, unspoken, unassuming, and utterly unstoppable. What if the quietest person in the room held the most dangerous knowledge? What if the life-saving plan came not from command, but from the one nobody noticed? This is the story of the woman they dismissed until they realized they owed her everything. Stick around until the end, because this story may just change the way you see respect, leadership, and silence. She walked in like a whisper, through her storm boots clean but worn, jacket neatly pressed, though faded at the creases. A silver falcon, wrapped around a lightning bolt, glinted from her shoulder patch. It shimmered for just a second before the senior officers turned their attention elsewhere. She stood near the back. No name tag, no formal introduction, just a clipboard in her hand and eyes that scanned the room like she was reading a battlefield, not a boardroom. No one noticed her. No one cared, except the janitor. He gave her a quiet nod, one only soldiers give to each other when words aren't necessary. They called her admin support, nothing more. At the front of the room stood Brigadier Knox. Around the table sat a circle of polished boots, crisp uniforms, and overinflated egos. Maps were spread out. Tensions were high. A high-risk rescue mission was on the line. As the team debated drone feeds and weather patterns, the woman in the back scribbled notes. Every time she opened her mouth to speak, someone else spoke louder, sharper, faster. They didn't see her hands clench under the table. They didn't see the tremble in her fingertips when they recommended a route she knew too well. A route that led to death. No one noticed, except one. A man in the far corner, tall, weathered, a ghost of wars past lingering in his eyes. He squinted across the room, staring at the patch on her shoulder. He spoke low, measured. "Where did you get that insignia?" The room fell into an awkward hush, confused glances. One officer chuckled, smug. "Probably picked it up from a surplus store," he muttered, but she said nothing. She didn't need to. The older man stood slowly, gravity in his movements. His uniform bore 3 rows of ribbons, but it was the silence he carried that turned heads. "That's a recon unit patch," he said. "Only 23 people on Earth are authorized to wear it." He paused. 19 of them are dead. Suddenly, she wasn't just admin support. She was history. She was experience. She was the last echo of a mission no one dared speak about. The commander stiffened. "Does anyone here know what Operation Dust Veil was?" More silence. Not ignorance, guilt. She finally spoke, voice soft but steady. "They sent us in blind. No support, no backup, no maps, just instinct, training, and each other." Her voice cracked. "We lost everything, but I remember every face." The room shifted. Guilt turned to reverence. She didn't need a badge. She was the badge. She walked up to the map. Didn't ask, just pointed. "This path here," she said, her finger gliding across a forgotten route. "It's a dry water channel, invisible to drones. I've walked it, twice." Her words weren't theory, they were memory. The commander didn't hesitate. "She outranks half this room. And even if she didn't, she earned her voice the day most of you were still learning to salute." No one argued, not anymore. The mission plan changed that day, not because of orders, but because someone finally listened to the quietest person in the room. As the officers gathered their things, one by one they stood not from protocol, but from respect. No command, just instinct. They knew. The janitor outside the door straightened his posture too, shoulders squared like a man saluting silently. He had seen what they hadn't. One officer whispered under his breath, "Why didn't she say anything earlier?" The commander smiled, slow and knowing. "Because lions don't explain themselves to sheep." That line would echo long after the briefing ended. The mission was a success. Lives were saved, not because of protocol, not because of rank, but because one woman carried her war quietly and shared just enough of it to make a difference. She didn't wear her medals on her chest, she wore them in her scars, in her silence, in her steady hands and unshakable stare. Because real power doesn't shout, it waits, until silence makes room. If this story moved you, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Would you have recognized that insignia? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more powerful stories like this. Stories that honor quiet strength, unseen sacrifice, and the warriors who lead not with words, but with presence. Until next time, respect the quiet ones. They're the ones who've already fought the loudest battles.